Hello, everyone. Okay, looks like we've got a good amount of people here with us today. So we've got a few things to get through, and I'm going to get started right away. Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining me today. Happy New Year. And I'm flying solo today, so I'm wondering if anyone would be so kind as to just pop a question in to say if you can hear me. It won't work if you can't hear me, I guess. Okay, great. Thanks for joining me. And it looks like we've got probably a lot of the attendees today, so I'm going to get started. Today, we're going to go through how to find top products that you're selling a lot of and slow selling items that you're not. And just what were your winners and losers for last year? And really, we'll just point you in the right direction. And my main purpose for today's webinar is sort of to introduce our webinars for the year and our events for the year, as well as go through these topics. So a little bit of this will be about just in general, sort of the theme of things for the year. So without further ado, our main focus for today is to review what has happened in your business last year. In this case, we're going to review some reports to identify your most profitable products or fastest selling products, maybe some things that have aged out and that you want to move, and just help you identify some areas where you might want to improve or areas that you should focus on because they're really profitable. And to start off, at Windward, we have this process, so we're part of a larger organization, where we review our targets at the end of the year, or like how we did last year, and what our plan is for next year. And a lot of this happens in December and January, and we'd like to encourage you to do a similar thing. So my first question for all of you is, have you at this point reviewed what happened last year by looking at reports in System 5? Or other sources of information? No judgment here, just checking in with you. All right, probably got most of that. I'm just gonna share that. So we've got a little bit of a spread. Some people have had the time to do this so far. Other people, maybe they're on vacation or spending time with family and haven't had a chance. So this is a related question, and I'm just curious, because I don't know how our customers do this actually. Have you started a plan, or do you have a plan for how to make 2024 better for your business? Or are you still building that, I guess? So just give me a yes or a no. It's probably a mixed bag for people as well. Okay, so what we can see here is that during January is probably a time a lot of us do this. Some people are really organized or come through the new year and the holiday season ready to go, or do it early in January, and other people are still working on that. So I'm hopeful that the events in the first quarter of the year will help you focus on certain parts of that. And what we're going to focus on in the webinars each month are things you can do to identify areas where you might have room for improvement, or areas you should focus more on, maybe how to track those a little bit. And in regards to today, we're going to talk about products. Next month, we're going to talk about customers and vendors, and just which tools can you use in System 5 to help identify those things, and just encourage you, try and make a plan for these things. Ask your account manager, ask your people at Windward, do I have, which reports can I look at? How can I make a plan? And that's what today's webinar is really about, or one aspect of it. So this is the topics for the year thus far for the first quarter. And today we're going to talk about the slow moving top movers in your business. Then on the 25th of January, we're going to have a morning workshop, which is a paid event. I'd encourage all of you to come if you feel that the content is suitable to you. It's about how to optimize pricing and keep your costing up to date. At the end of the webinar, I'll give you a little more detail on that. Then we're going to talk about how to identify your best, worst customers next month, and what are some strategies you can use to encourage them to come spend more with you or come back more frequently and spend time with you. Then the last webinar, we had a lot of input about people wanting to learn how to barcode, and though we offer one-on-one help with starting barcoding in your business, and maybe that's really the very best way to get help with that. We're going to do a broad overview of how to set up barcoding in your business and how to optimize it and how to speed up your sales process in March. So today we're going to just focus on some key reports that I've identified that are probably not the only ones to use that help you determine your fastest moving or most profitable products or the opposite. And just a little conversation about how you could mark those. And that way, if you've got them marked, we're going to use a lookup word for this. Again, it's probably not the only way, but it's a good way. Then you can find them when you want to take an action, whether they be your best or your worst products. So we're going to go through 3 key reports here. They are not the only ones you could use, for sure, but these are 3 that I find very helpful to share with clients. The ranking sales report, which we'll dive into in one moment. The gross margin return on investment report, which is you do need a certain amount of history in your system, and you'll see that when I present it, because I have less history in my system. For that to be a great report, but it's very useful in just seeing your return on investment on products. And then how can I find stock that's aged, that I've had a long time, and what can I do? Can I mark that? And then what can I do to get rid of it, to clear up space in my warehouse, or simply just get rid of those duds? So we're going to start with the ranking sales report, which is good for quite a few reasons, not just products, but we'll start with products. So first, I see your question there, Tiffany. Yeah, we do have a link to these webinars, and actually the webinars are all hosted on the same webpage, so you can find the recordings of all of them in the same place. I would suggest just keeping an eye on that webpage. That way, even if you miss one and you weren't here, you can still view the recording. Now I have the report linked to the top of the screen here, the ranking sales report, like I do many of these things on my quick list. However, to find it, you can find it a few ways. I'm going to go to reports and inventory sales reports, and it's the second one down. So reports, sales reports, inventory sales reports right here. Now this report, if you have a lot of history in Windward, can take a little while to run, but once you run it, you'll see that you can report on a lot of different things, which is why I think it's such a powerful and useful tool. I'm going to click the next button here. Now here you'd set a date range. Now for me, I don't have much to worry about because I don't have a ton of data in my demonstration software. But if you have years and years of history, or if you have a very high volume of transactions, this can take a little bit of time to run. So it might be one of those things where you hit go and go grab a cup of joe. So mine ran very quickly. Yours might take a little time. And now that I've run the report, I can pick all these different things to report on, all from the same report. So for today, I'm going to pick inventory first, and I'm just going to hit view, and this is just going to do this based on product. So I can see products that have, I can see the profit product by product. I can sort it by using the column headers, so I can see, so this particular Energy Star, I think, dishwasher is the thing I've sold the most of. Decent profit on it, but it's a very low margin. And if you're in that industry, you know that you need sell-through allowances and things like that to really profit from products like that. So although I'm making okay profit, it's not a very high margin. I could also sort this by margin and see that when I sell sheet metal, I'm extremely profitable. Now I have all kinds of things in my demonstration software, and they're not 100% realistic, but this can help you quickly identify what you're making the most margin on. And although you may intuitively know that, this is a good way to double check yourself. And it can also help you identify things like, maybe my costs aren't being recorded correctly, or things like that, if the margin looks way off. Now, some other things you can do from here is, well, maybe I want to look at this by just one category. So I can put a category filter here. Or maybe I want to look at who's selling the most from here. So you can very quickly flip between the different, who's doing the best, who's doing the worst on all of these different things. I really think that in certain retail businesses, the number of sales per hour of day or day of the week or week of the year, this is per weekday, which days are busy, which days are slow. So you can find out that you could even use that for staffing. So although the topic of this presentation is really about items and profitability, there's quite a few things you can do with the ranking sales report. So I'd encourage you to run it. Maybe the first time you run it for a short time frame and try out all the different features and see what's valuable data for you. And then you might consider lengthening the time frame and go and get that cup of joe while it runs. This next report is a little bit better in that it helps you identify your actual return on investment on a given product or product category. And it is one of these reports where if you don't have purchasing and sales history for the product, you'll get a weird result because it relies on both. It needs your stock level to be up to date, your purchasing to be correct, and your sales to be all in Windward for it really to be a useful report. So if you're doing your accounting elsewhere, or if you don't have all the right procedures in place in Windward, you might get some kind of funny results, but it can also be a way to detect those things. So you'll see some of these funny results in my demonstration software because sometimes I just sell in here and I oversell, or I don't actually receive the PO when I do things because I'm just playing around. So look at your high turnover items or your really low turnover items and your stock levels on those items, and then think, what am I going to do this year to enhance that, avoid that, so on. Now, to find this one, you can go through the menus, but I like to use this search bar down at the bottom sometimes, and the fastest way to find that's just type in gross down there and hit enter. So it's under sales reports, inventory sales reports again, down here. Now I'm going to need to run mine with a fair amount of history to get a realistic result. Yeah, let me try that again. We're going to go by items. You can filter this by location if you have multiple departments, supplier or brand. I'm just going to run it on everything. And it really lets me see my margin on my products, same as before, the percentage of my total sales, and my return on investment, and my turns. So you'll see I have some negative turns here, and that's because I have half the data in the software. So realistically, here's some product with more realistic data, pardon me. I can see that I'm turning over a lot of these Kenmore freezers. Used to be a Sears store, you know. So the cost is, you can see my cost of sales, you can see my average inventory level, and I'm really moving that product. So that's good. Maybe I should be careful to set my highs and lows on that product to make sure I don't run out because it seems to be moving quickly. If I go down further, I might see some things with no turnover at all. And those might be things that I want to look at on the next report where we look at stock aging to see, well, do I have, I can also see here I don't have a ton of inventory in these things, but let's take this leather sofa. Well, that sat there for the whole time frame. In my case, I ran that since 2020. So I've had this leather sofa sitting in my warehouse or on my showroom floor the whole time. No action on the leather sofa. We're going to get a different color, different brand, or maybe we should put that on sale and make some room for something different. Whereas my Kenmore appliance up here is going to be a much higher profitable item. Okay, so these are two reports, and there are many reports actually. I'll just kind of mention a few without going into detail on all of them that really help you identify quickly your quick movers or the things that are duds. And you might know intuitively some of these things, but you might also be surprised. So when creating your plan for this year, think about what's done well for you and what hasn't, how to get rid of what hasn't, how to enhance what has. And in today's webinar, we're not really going to talk about which strategies in System 5 you can use to do that, but this is just some reports that will help you identify those things. I'm just going to take a quick breather there. Does anyone have a question while on the last two things before I move on to the next one? Okay, I'll point out some in general reporting that is helpful. So under your sales reports, if you're really looking to look at, say, profitability by invoice, even if you don't pay commission, these salesperson commission reports are really good, or the salesperson invoice report. They'll show you who's selling what and to whom, and they will show the profitability and have tons of options and toggles. They're more on the salesperson side or the invoice side than the product side, a little out of scope for today, but also very handy reports to review for the year. And again, even if you don't pay commission, the commission report could give you a preview of what that might look like, and it can just help you identify salespeople or customers that you could work on relationships with. On the inventory side, the main category sales report and subcategory sales report are just like they sound. I'm going to dip into this one quickly, and are a really good high-level sales report. So you probably have reports you run each month, and of course the end of the year is a great time to review that in full. I do see a question here, so I'll just pause for a moment. And Tiffany, you're asking, can I resize the items column in that report? Tiffany, are you asking about the gross margin return on investment report? Okay, I don't think so, but I'm just going to go quickly look. Follow my own advice here. I can't customize them, but no, it doesn't look like it. But it does allow you to export it to Excel, so you could do that there once you get the report that you want. And if for any of you that might be newer, I just right-clicked my mouse, hit Export to, and Excel. You can also make a beautiful graph. And there's some graph settings here. Tiffany, if you want, I'm going to continue the presentation, but if you want to tell me a little bit more about what you were looking for, then, well, you never know. I might know. So the last report I want to show you is actually the design inventory report, which we reviewed in the webinars at the end of last year, all the different things you can do with it. I'm going to show you a specific use case right now, and there's a little bit of setup for us to go through, and then I'm just going to make some sort of suggestions and best practices suggestions for what you might do in the first quarter of the year. So we're going to use the design inventory report. And again, if this is not something you've heard of, this is a very customizable report, very helpful in a lot of different ways. It's under inventory reports, and it's second one down here. It allows you to design an inventory report that you can use to do things like adjust pricing, adjust settings in those items. You can really use it to do a great number of things, not just report on things. You can actually add and remove things and so on. We're going to go into how to use this report for pricing in the workshop later this month. What I'm going to do right now is just show you how to build a report using stock age, so you can see how long you've had product. So if you've got product that you've identified through the other reports is a slow mover, you can identify how much you have. You can use this in combination with other reports to come up with a strategy. And another key thing you can do with this report is flag a product or products, or report on products that have a flag, so that you can zoom in on the areas you need to focus on. So first, in my example, I'm not going to use a lot of filters out of the get-go, but here I've got a bunch of filters to use. One I'll point out, because it's usually a hot topic, is you can actually report on oversold products only, for example. That's not what I'm going to do today, but there's a lot of different options here. I could report just on one category or on everything. I'm going to use everything. Filter by supplier, brand. There's a bunch of custom filters here, which are very specific. There's a bunch of little tweaks in the options that you can do. Some key ones to point out is you may want serial numbers if you're using serialized stock. And you might want to be looking at items that are marked for deletion, for example. Sometimes you need to list the barcodes for the product or see what doesn't have a barcode, so that's a good tick box. Here, under columns, you pick what you want to know about the product you're going to report on. And this is where we get into how you set up the stock aging. And you can also use this to how you can report on sales history of the product at the same time if you wish. So I've got some basic product details listed here, but I'm going to scroll down here to the bottom. So here you can see I could add month-to-date sales, and when it says -1, that's last month, 2 months ago, 3 months ago. But what I'm interested in today is stock age. So I'm going to put the stock balance days, and I'm going to grab 3 of these stock age lines, and I'm going to move them over to my columns. And I'm going to then just hit next, and you'll notice when I do that, it adds a tab here called stock age. And this allows me to identify different tiers, if you want, or periods of time in which I want to see how many products of that type I had in stock and for how long. So for example, I'm going to go 0 to 30 days, 31 to 60 days, and 61 to 360 days. So I can see what have I had all year, what have I just had for a month. And in my case, because I have limited data, I'm just going to run that on my whole inventory. But in your case, you may want to zoom in on a certain area. So here, you can see that I've got a lot of these, it looks like furniture that sits for a month. And that might not be a long time for furniture. You have to kind of use your intuition as to whether that's a good amount of time or not. And you can see how many you have. So if I know that these Rose recliners and the ottoman, typically I've got a bunch of them that I ordered, say, 35 days ago, and I still have 8 in stock. It's not a hot mover right now. Maybe my highs and lows should be set lower, for example. So you can use this and you can set these date ranges any way you like to kind of identify key products, to monitor your reorder points, to run promotions on, to just really optimize the sale of those things, or real duds is another way you could find duds. And what I want to show you before I move on to the questions here is just say you find the product you're looking for using this report. You can use this report to flag the product, because you can build this report quite a few different ways. You can make it by sales history, purchase history, stock age. There's a lot of things you can do. But once you've identified some products that you want to take some actions on, whether they be, this is a great product, I want to enhance it or kit it with other things, or this is a dud, I never want to order that again, I want to blow out the stock I've got and make room. You want to flag those products. And the way to do that is use the lookup words tab right here. So the lookup words tab allows you to add a flag. It's kind of like a search flag on a website that allows you to search for that product and filter most, not quite all, but most product reports in the system. And you can see down at the bottom here, I can include things on the report by filtering by the lookup word. I can exclude things that have the lookup word, or I can add a lookup word. So I'm going to do an add. I'm going to go add, and I'm just going to say stock age, just to add something. So I'm going to add this lookup word to everything on my report. So I want to make sure the report has the right product on it first. and then I could view that, and as it's creating the report, it's flagging each product with this lookup word. And I'll show you where you find that in a product. So I'll just open one up. And in this product, if you go to comments, lookup words, you can see it's added that flag. And many of the reports in System 5, not all, but like most, allow you to filter by a lookup word. If you're not familiar with lookup words yet, they're a great tool in our software. You can use them for product, you can use them for customers as well, or invoices, so that you can take a report that you like but has too much noise and filter it down to certain customers, certain products, certain vendors. You can use it a few different ways, and each different aspect of the software, the customers, the products, have their own unique list of lookup words that you can create. My only caution with lookup words is don't make too many lookup words. When this list on the left gets really long and unmanageable, it's a bit of a pain to manage. So use them for certain things, flag products in this case that you want to take actions on, and think about the actions you want to take this year to make it an awesome 2024. So those are the key things I wanted to talk about today. They're certainly not the only things you can do to review your year, but they're very helpful. And what I just encourage you to do the same thing we're doing, is think about your prices, think about your customers, think about how last year went, and what's your new plan for this year. It's easy to get dragged down in the day-to-day, but when you set yourself a goal, even if you set yourself a really aggressive goal, even if you fail at that goal, you're still gonna make good progress. So I've got some good questions here. I'm gonna go address those, and then go through a few slides to give you some options for different actions you can take with us to help you with that plan. So let me just see here. Oh, you guys got lots of questions today. I'll do my best. So so Tiffany, you must have some long part numbers, I'm guessing, that are causing your report to really run across the screen. You have to scroll over. When you export to Excel, will it be updated to the newest format, Shelley? Hi, Shelley. Oh, Shelley's left. Okay. Not quite sure what she meant. This is a good question. Is there a way of deleting for good items that are marked for deleted? So there is, if those products do not have any history, a way to completely remove them. If they do have history, the system needs them to support that history. And so fully deleting them is not advisable. It would cause you integrity errors. But if you have a product that has never been used and it's marked for deleted, I'll just pull up an item. So let's say this Energy Star, although I think this is one of my top movers. If a product's never been sold or purchased, this is kind of a dud, then when you hit mark deleted here, there'll be a drop down and you can say delete immediately, and that will get rid of it forever. So it's a little drop down arrow on the right here. This product does have history, but it's right here. How do I change the date range on the last recalculated date for the ranking sales report? Let me go look at that. Thanks for the question, Jen. This is just a, that's a good question. I don't know the answer, Jen. Because I would have thought it was the last time I ran the report. but it's not updated. I'm sorry, Jen, I don't know the answer fully. I'll try and find out and track you down by email, Jen. But I suppose that's supposed to be the last time you ran the report that you calculated it. It may just be that you need to log out and log back in. That'd be my first guess. Good question. I'm sorry, I don't know the answer off the top of my head. Good question, Lana. So Lana's asking, can you add lookup words on part of a report? So no. So if you are building an inventory report, Lana, and you want to add lookup words to the product on the report, you need to get that report filtered down to just the ones you want to add, or you can drill in. So if I go back and do it one at a time. So on this list, if I want to add a lookup word to one of these, I can just drill in and do it manually. Would be one option. I would just go to comments here, lookup words there, and I can do that. Another option would be add filters to get the list tightened up. A third option would be, if you're familiar with data loading, export this to Excel, add the lookup word in the column, remove the products you don't want, and load it back in. That's if you're comfortable with loading, that is a perfectly good strategy as well. Something you could get our help with as well too. Okay, Deborah's asking, you add the lookup words in the report and it just stayed within the items on that report only. That's correct, Deborah. So in this instance, I added that flag, that lookup word, to the products on the report. So I might want to use a supplier, brand, or other filter, category filter, or like here's an example. Let's say I do a report on oversolds, and then I want to put a flag on them so I know which products are oversold. So I can go into those products and then search for them by a lookup word. Like I could go like this if I'm doing an item search, and I can search by lookup word right there. So I can go stock age, and there's all the stuff on the report that I added the word to. So it lets you filter. This is just one use of lookup words. There's quite a few actually. All right, we're going a little bit over time here, but I can see there's quite a few questions. So what I'm going to do is just go through the rest of my slides and I'll jump back on the questions. I have a little time today, okay? So before everybody leaves, I just want to make sure that people have the benefit of knowing what are my options if I need some assistance with this. So here's some free resources that you can find. If you go into our customer care portal, they've written a ton of articles on reporting and they're very good. To be honest, I was kind of surprised. There's 44 different articles in there on all different kinds of reports. Very helpful to look through those articles and they're very well written. In the Learning Academy, if you search by lookup words as a tag, there's some videos in there and recordings of events and webinars that were just on lookup words, which is more time than I have today, but you might want to review that because having done those in the past, we go through all the different ways to use a lookup word, which is really quite helpful. The Jim Roy or the gross margin return on investment report has I think a video you can watch. And in general, if you put the tag reporting in, you can sift through those results and look for ways to use the different reports in the software. So some of the questions from today, the answer is probably right in there. These two lovely people here, after buying their blender and their air fryer, pressure cooker, I don't know, they are going to talk about what they paid for them. This coming, not this next Thursday, but the one after, we're going to do a morning event. It's a 4-hour event. That's $300 to attend. You can bring your team. So you buy one ticket, everybody can come sit in the conference room and join me for the event. We're going to go through pricing basics, like how the system marks up product, uses margin, markup, fixed pricing, price schedules, different tiered pricing, ways to do quantity discounts, contract pricing, exceptions to pricing. We're going to go through how you can use the virtual warehouse to load in vendors' costing and pricing to keep your costs accurate for quoting a product you've never held before. How to use the design inventory report we use today to edit the prices of existing products, how to use the price adjustments tool to do the same thing or round prices. or do price range adjustments, and it's just a full morning of a lot of content about how to set your prices using tools in the software, and maybe just a little thought about how should I do this year? What can I change about my prices to make myself more successful on key products, or just blow some out of the way so I can get new product in. So please come join me if you can find the time. That's on the 25th of January. It'll be from 8 to 12 Pacific. There are 3 of these events on these dates. We did move the first one to the 25th, just to give people a little more time in the new year to sign up. So I apologize, it's not the 18th, it's 25th. We're going to talk about how to encourage return visits and referrals and increase your average sale on the 15th of February, and the essentials of barcoding in March to just speed up sales process, pardon me, if you're interested in learning more about barcoding. So always we have people like myself that can help you one-on-one. These free webinars, we're hopeful that they point you in the right direction and give you some ideas. In the morning workshops, we'll get a little bit more detailed and have more time to spend with you. And that's still a group setting though, so we can't get too specific with anyone's specific data. And then there's always a team of people just like myself that can help you one-on-one if you buy a professional services package. And one thing I just wanted to share with you today is we do have a new website here that is I'm just going to scoot it over here so you can see it. We're kind of proud of our website. We've built a website integration so you can buy these products and services when at your behest, basically. Here's the workshops and events. And you can purchase these from a cart, just like you would on another website. And if you feel like you really want one-on-one time, then these implementation plans here are also an excellent value. So a lot of people feel they want someone from professional services, especially in their first few years, to really watch their back even after they go live. This 20-hour plan, honestly, I can't say enough about that. The people that buy that get help from one of us all year round on all sorts of things, help them manage change in their business, learn new features. It's very valuable. So that's a thought. Now, enough shameless selling. I'm going to go back to questions. And I just have a few more moments today, guys, so I'll get through as many as I can. What date I am after is under the cost and stock level of an inventory item. It shows the date that the item came in. So you want to know the date of receipt, Jen, I believe. Now on any given item, here, let's view the report again. Look at these pants. You want the cost and stock levels. Here, I don't have history, that's the problem. You need that report on the design inventory, that item on the design inventory report. Well, the problem with that is, I guess you're looking for the latest purchase date. Would that be correct, Jennifer? Here's a question that I actually don't know the answer to, but we can try it quick. Is there a quick way to attach lookup words to all the part numbers on a specific PO? I don't think so, but let's pull up a PO. So let's suppose there was a whole bunch of product here. Yeah, I think you might be able to use this. I can't say I've done it. Kind of looks like it. I'd have to test that. And I'm not sure exactly at what time it would add it. Maybe at receiving? That's a good question. That's a good idea, Carol. thanks for the idea. It would be easier to sort through the available columns in design inventory report if you could search them. They're not really even alphabetized. Jennifer, it sounds like you're looking for serialized reporting when those serial numbers came in, probably for warranty. Is that correct? I think you want to use the unit list report. It's different. I don't have time to go into the whole thing, but I'll point you in the right direction. Because they're serialized, there's a report here that is a lot like the design inventory report, but it's for serial numbers. And it'll give you the specifics, and it has columns like that. So you put your serial number and your make and your model. And I think there might be purchase date. Yep, right there. So using serial numbers and you have warranty things and you want to know when did this serial get purchased, it's in the item tab of the customer and the unit tab of the customer, and this would let you run it. Again, I don't have enough data here to make that useful. Okay, folks. Well, that is all the time I have today. I'm sorry if I missed some of the questions. There's a lot there, and I'm kind of flying solo today. So thank you for coming. I hope I see you at the webinars throughout the year. We'll be having one free webinar like this, complimentary as part of your maintenance throughout the year. And of course, we have the paid workshops Thursday mornings, once a month. Those will be designed this quarter to kind of help you plan. Next quarter, we're going to look more on the fulfillment side. I think in the summer, although we don't have a date or anything yet, we're looking to have a summit where some of us might get together in person and do some training, which I'm really excited for. And in the fall, we'll probably revert back to the same thing we did this last fall, where we help you with your year-end procedures. And we're just hopeful that these events can help you focus in on what's important in your business, get some complimentary advice, or join some workshops, or if you really need it, I can't stress it enough. We love helping you one-to-one when you buy professional services, and myself and Robert, Harry, and Alan would love to work with you one-to-one to try and enhance how you use System 5 in your business. So thanks for your time today. I hope this was helpful, and we'll see you next time.